You're good?
Yep.
All right, name and title, just so we have it on record.
Name is Anthony Sizemore, Sizemore, and I'm a captain.
So what do you do on a daily basis?
I oversee the Criminal Investigations Bureau here at the Cape Coral Police Department, which encompasses our forensics unit, crime analysis, white-collar crime, persons crimes or major crimes, they're synonymous, and property crimes, and narcotics.
So you're not busy at all then? So basically, as we were just kind of talking about, years and years ago, the scope of a crime scene was, the actual scene itself, someone's home, someone's car maybe. But now that we have social media, which is literally exponential, it's kind of opened this whole new element that I feel like investigators have to look into, or, you know what I mean? Can you talk about that?
Sure. What you mentioned before is still there. We still have cars and houses and physical places where crimes occur. In addition to that, now you can actually have on the landscape of social media or a digital platform, there could actually be the crime if you have cyber stalking or something of that nature. But what you're referring to is really a lot more work going into where we would do a traditional crime scene, a car, a house, or a place of employment. It also is a benefit to us too, because people do post everything on social media. Very rarely do you find somebody that does not have a social media platform or presence or footprint.
Exactly. So how has Facebook changed the way that you guys kind of comb through a crime scene, or comb through, I guess, investigate?
One of the main things that you would see is what we call victimology. If you have somebody who is a victim of a crime, you like to look at their inner circle and then broaden out to their outer circle, and eventually you're going to find people that need to be interviewed, witnesses, and maybe eventually the bad guy, so to speak. And with the advent of social media, you have somebody that, you figure 2004, I believe, is when Facebook came about and really became prevalent a couple of years after that. Before that, somebody's victimology might have, an adult, somebody out of high school, would probably have 7 to 10 legitimate friends that would be worthwhile to talk to. And now with the advent of social media, you have hundreds of people that are potentially in that inner and outer circle. So it's really up the workload to find out who our victims are.
Exactly. And you mentioned that, obviously it creates more work, but you kind of mentioned this already. I would think in some ways helps in solving some crimes or making arrests in some cases. Can you tell me about that?
It basically turns the light on for us and is a clue. People do put their entire life on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, Kik. There's a lot of different apps that people are using for social media, and they kind of leave clues for us as to who they're involved with, who may be targeting them. And on the criminal side, a lot of people are quite open about what they've done, their exploits, who they associate with. So a lot of our dragnetting, so to speak, and old-fashioned analytical work is done for us. So it's very, very helpful.
I would think so, for sure. Okay. Is it tough to use evidence that you find on social media to make an arrest? Is there a lot of proving that has to go in that, or?
Just like any other piece of evidence, it has to be verified and proven. It's a great tool, it's a great arrow in the right direction, but independent, it still is not enough to be considered probable cause. I mean, you have extreme cases like in Chicago recently where people would live stream an assault on somebody. They held a special needs person against their will for several days and broadcast it live on the internet. That's very, very all-encompassing evidence, and you wouldn't need a heck of a lot more other than verifying who they are on the stream or the feed. But most cases, it's a good piece of evidence. Never is it a silver bullet.
Definitely, that makes sense. I was wondering that because I also talked to an attorney about how, using this evidence to make an arrest, and then also using the evidence to prove in court,
Right.
that to convict the person, I guess.
Social media stuff on its own is very rarely enough to make an arrest. It is further proof of what you believe. It's scientific evidence in your hypothesis, if you will.
That makes sense. And I'm kind of learned about that. And I would think, we kind of focus a lot on the solving of crimes, but it's had to have changed the way that criminals commit crimes too, because you have these bartering pages where people can sell stuff. I remember there was one case where they met up and were gonna exchange cell phone for money, and the guy took off with the cell phone, and then you have a paper trail right there on Facebook to know who this guy is, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it seems like Facebook's almost opened a can of worms, so to speak, for people to commit crimes too.
That's correct. A hybrid of different types of crimes. There's strictly encompassed on the internet or digital crimes like stalking, theft, embezzlement. Those types of scams are completely encased in social media. You have a hybrid where they meet online and then go to a physical location in an actual old-fashioned nuts and bolts crime, like a robbery or a setup on sexual assault. Prostitution is one where people will think that they're meeting an escort, and really they're meeting a robbery or a John or a pimp or a setup, something like that. Those are your hybrid type crimes. And then you'll have others that people will commit the crime and will use social media, or even a victim will help us, or a suspect will leave it open, where we're able to find out their network of people. They'll brag about the crimes. They'll then go into embezzlement or selling or something of a physical crime that they've committed. So it really runs the gamut.
And I remember going back to that cell phone case. This was a case where, you know, fortunately, I think the website was, or the Facebook page was Barter Kings or something like that. This guy says, hey, I have this iPhone, I'm looking to sell it to somebody, $500. Someone comments on it, says, oh, perfect, yeah, like, let's meet at this place. And then they meet up, and the wife was like, I'm gonna videotape this. I don't know what gave her that idea, but she videotaped it. Now the guy, you know, takes the cell phone and runs off, and they have his face on video. In a case like that, you're able to, I would think, go back and look at that Facebook transaction to help.
Absolutely.
Kind of.
That's where it originated in a digital platform. The actual crime took place on a carbon-based part of the earth, and then we were able to go back to digital format to find out who's who, actually used the victim's wife's phone, because that's digital evidence as well. So you can see how it really, all of this is intertwined now. And what helped with that is so many people knew who this person was. We put it out, people share it. It's really a wonderful thing. It would be the equivalent of back when the modern police work kind of got its footing in England in the 1890s, the town square. Well, the town square now is digital, and that's where we go, and that's where people are and share information and help us and get involved in a true old-fashioned community policing, police and citizens partnering together, now on a digital platform. So our workload has gone up, but the ability to solve them has kept pace. So there's not a gap. There's a lot more work, but the solvability remains there. So as we've gotten busier, there's really not a huge void for people to be let down on the service end.
Definitely, that makes total sense. Do you remember that case that I was talking
I
about?
do.
I just remember seeing that
several cases like
video
that.
and I was like, oh my God, like the fact that she thought to videotape this is like, a nail in this kid's coffin. And even, just posting surveillance photos of crimes on Facebook and stuff, I bet you anything that you guys get more feedback from posting the Cape Coral Police Department Facebook page, posting a picture of a surveillance image than you do probably putting it on TV.
We actually do. I'll give you a history lesson here. You can use this on TV or not. But when I first started in investigations back in 2001, we still had Polaroids issued to us. I know you're laughing, but we had Polaroids. So VHS surveillance tape was the technology of the day. So if somebody robbed the mobile on Hancock, I remember doing this, we would go into the back room, the clerk didn't know how to do it, we'd have to call the manager in, probably wouldn't come in until tomorrow, go back tomorrow, meet the manager, put the videotape in, hopefully it worked. And if it worked, we'd pause it and take a Polaroid of the television screen, go back, tape it on a piece of paper and put like a bolo of the crime, because we didn't have email back then, and put it up on the bulletin board and pass it around the roll call and maybe go canvas with that. And you look now where the advent of email became, now I can take that and put it into an email and send it in our building. Then we would incorporate why don't we try to ask the corrections people at the jail, they know a lot more people than we do, and then maybe ask the news. And now, we still partner with the news, but you're right, we get a lot more traction on our Facebook page instantly, instead of what used to be just dramatic. Get this on the 6 o'clock news, it's really gonna help us, to now, we don't have time to wait until the 6 o'clock news. We got it at 1. Why would we wait 5 hours? That's unheard of now. So we get it out immediately. It gets shared with the amount of followers that we have, and you multiply that with the amount of followers that our followers have, you can reach hundreds of thousands of eyes in seconds. So it's absolutely helped us in solving crime.
That's crazy to think, like, you know, we work in TV, but we even recognize, you know, the more social media comes to the forefront, it's
TV is becoming the Polaroid of media. No, just kidding.
It's kind of true, unfortunately. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we kind of talked about a few examples. I didn't know if you had any off the top of your head. I know that you probably didn't have like a ton of time to really look it up, but if you have any off the top of your head, great. If not, we can talk about a couple like national examples too. So do you have anything that like comes to mind of like something that we've been talking about?
The couple of examples that you gave about the cell phone or any type of bartering, that we have plenty of those where there have been rip-offs, even not a robbery, but just bad stuff, or selling stolen property. You know, not ripping off the buyer. A few of those locally, they're rather easy to solve because this is the person that I dealt with, and then we go the route that we just talked about. Who do you know this person? Businesses that have really good digital technology. I give one, I know you may not be able to use the name, but Target, for example, has excellent video. And if you watch any news outlet locally, you always have that couple walking out of Target to get the red wall behind them. They took a purse or they used a stolen credit card. We get that out, and we've solved, you know, dozens, if not, I want to say almost 40, 50 cases like that. Just putting that out has really helped us. Going a little bit deeper into the investigation, we always comb through persons of interest, see if they have a social media footprint. A lot of apps now are advertised that they're not able to be tracked or traced, or they use an outside the country server to try to skirt our warrants and things like that. We're always having to adapt to that. Apple with encryption technology makes it very difficult, and you saw that nationally with the FBI. We run into the same thing. If you seize a piece of hardware and it's locked, it's almost impossible to penetrate that now. So we run into those types of roadblocks that mirror national trends. Specific cases, I don't have any for you other than everything that you see nationally, we have that here. We're not immune to that type of crime. So.
If I were to commit a crime and you guys took my cell phone, it has a lock on it, you guys would be able to get in and get to everything if you needed to?
That I'd rather not.
Okay.
Get out?
Perfect.
Yes and no.
Well, there's one national case that I feel like we should at least mention, and that's the Facebook killer. I mean, that was just terrifying, first of all. And second of all, just the scope of that. First of all, this guy uses social media to capture what he does to this person. Then, social media played a huge role in tracking this person down, too.
Right.
Not to mention, obviously, the fake accounts and fake sightings and whatever, but, you know, sticking to more on topic, just that had to have been just kind of a prime example of this.
Sure helped. One thing that it's kind of a deeper question, maybe a sociology type of a question. Would he have done this without the medium of Facebook? Did that drive, I'm not blaming Facebook, but did our society now, our voyeuristic society, cause him to do that? Maybe, but if he were to commit a crime before the advent of social media, much more difficult to solve. You did it on TV, basically. You showed us, and we know who you are, so the solvability factor of that is off the charts. But then, you know, for a different topic, would this have happened without that? I don't know. But if it did happen, that's your given to be able to solve it with what he did. I mean, that's 100% proven. Another interesting quasi-social media one is an Amazon Echo, or some of the other devices that you can order stuff online. They're constantly recording and buffering. And there's a case in Arizona where there was a homicide in a home, and they had, I believe it was an Amazon Echo, and the audio, whether you're recording or not or talking to it, it's always recording. And there's a fight right now trying to subpoena and get that audio, that digital audio that may have captured a killing in that home. And not that that company is you know, against life, they're protecting their content, they're fighting it tooth and nail on the privacy side. But that's an interesting technology case that we're following to find out.
That is crazy. I hadn't even heard about that.
Yeah.
That's nuts, and that's like, you know, it seems, I mean, to me, it seems like a no-brainer that they should be able to use that, but you know, there's obviously a million different sides.
Right, there's a
That makes
privacy
sense.
side
There's a
and-
privacy side, there's, you know, the company wanting to maintain that privacy for other people, and yikes.
Right, it's a balancing act for us. We don't get too involved in the creation and formation of rules. We would like things to be a certain way for solving crime, but we just accept the rules as they come to us. So we're waiting to see what those rules are gonna be with a device like that. So it's an interesting, always evolving, there's always a new app, there's always a new way for people to broadcast what they're doing, try to hide what they're doing, be right out in the open about what they're doing for us to find it. So if you're not constantly learning, checking and digging and sourcing social media platforms, you're behind as a law enforcement agency, 100%. And the biggest emergence would be third-party applications where most people think an app like Kik, where kids can talk to each other and it's innocent and it's dating and they can disappear, but a lot of pedophiles use that, fake profiles, and they communicate with underage people, and they can arrange to meet, and that's one of the more heinous ways that a digital platform could turn into a real-life situation where someone believes that they're communicating with another teen and they meet up with a predator. So that's a very real situation here. It's very difficult for us with these third-party apps. Not impossible, but that's the emerging forensic science for us, is digging into that.
Definitely, gives me chills just to think about it. Did you hear about that woman in, I believe it was Lakeland, who Facebook lived that she was at a Chuck E. Cheese and she was actually wanted for like several crimes, so
I
the
did
cops
see
were
that.
able to just, and I just remember it was Polk County, I believe.
Yeah.
And the sheriff goes on TV and he's like, "We love stupid criminals," but it's true,
Grady
like.
Judd is the sheriff.
Yeah, imagine, you know, like that's like serving a criminal on a silver platter.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be creative sometimes. You know, there's been some, back in the 80s and 90s, there were some creative ways to get wanted people to come. We do, you know, phony job fairs and, you know, send mail to them, they'd show up. Now you don't even have to, just go online. Odds are they're there.
It's crazy.